Well, I got the Camaro back. The cam went flat. And what's odd is this is an used engine. The cam was already broke in and it went. It was a number 3 cylinder, the exhaust lub that actually went on. Yeah, I also took one of the spark plugs out, and I have a camera that you stick in through the spark plug hole, and it's got, you can see there's a big dome on the pistons. This thing's got to have like 10 or 11 to 1 compression. Well, I got the cam out. Here's the lub that's gone. And see the lifter? It wore it so bad that it even wore a hole in it. This cam has got 235 duration at 50 degrees and a 507 lift. It's almost exactly what I was going to pick for it. So maybe in a couple days I'll have this back together and running. Yeah, I just got my regulators back for my torch. I also had them replace the low pressure oxygen gauge because the original one went up to 200 pounds and I never use it over maybe 30 or 40, so it's hard to get the pressure right. And to have both of these regulators rebuilt and that gauge replaced only cost $120. Yeah, if you're ever in Napa, California, go buy a complete welder's supply. They always give me real good deals there. Well, I just got the trunk lock for the Camaro. I should have the cam and lifters and stuff tomorrow. And I can put this back together over the weekend. Yeah, I just found out why the rear end on this Camaro makes so much noise when you're backing up or going around corners slow. It's got a spool in it. So that's going to have to go. Okay, I just cleaned the heads off where the gasket goes and the front of the engine. And what I do is I like to use the medium ones of these discs because they're not as hard on aluminum. Okay, I just got the parts to put the Camaro back together, and I always run ISKI cams and all the stuff that I put together. I've never had a problem with them. I also got a high volume oil pump, these heat shields for the spark plug wires, and a few other things. And I always get more of this moly lube because they don't ever come with hardly any of it. Hey, the cam comes with that stuff on it that's like on rotors that keeps it from rusting. So you need to either put brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner on it to clean all this stuff off before you put it in. And here's the grease it comes with, not very much. That's why I always buy that second one. Hey, and with ISKI cams, it always tells the model number in the back of the cam right by where the distributor gear is. The cam that came out of it, it was just barely etched into the front of the cam. Yeah, I like to grease this up real good before I put it in. I'm sure I'm going to get some comments out of that. It's best to put it in part of the ways, then grease it and slide it in farther each time. Yeah, and it's well worth spending the extra $7 to buy more of this moly lube because you can never put too much of it on there and you don't want the cam to go flat right when you're breaking it in. Okay, I got the cam in. Now I always put a moly lube on the lifters too and make sure that each one spins around easy or the cam will go flat. And so this has got the posi lock nuts on it. But how I like to adjust these rocker arms is I get the lobe on the cam opposite the lifter, and then I tighten this nut down until it just touches, and I'll either go a half to 1 turn more after that. And that way you don't have to run it and make a big mess with oil everywhere to adjust it. Yeah, I put the timing chain cover back on without that front seal in it for the oil pan. Because as soon as I get most of this engine back together, I'm going to pull the motor mount bolts out, jack the engine up, and try to pull the oil pan out to put that high volume oil pump in it. Yeah, I also replaced that timing pointer. The one that was on it before was for a much bigger balancer, so it was way far away from it. Yeah, I just got all the valves adjusted. And I marked each one of these rocker arms when I adjusted it, just so I'd know which ones had been done and I wouldn't have to turn the engine over more times than I needed to. Yeah, and with the intake manifold, you never use these gaskets that go in the front and the rear of the manifold. You just put a gasket sealer across here. I like to use this gasket sealer that's in these Cheese Whiz type cans. And on the intake gaskets, I only put silicone on the areas where the coolant goes through. I've had a lot of engines I've pulled apart where somebody's done the whole entire thing, but all you're doing when you do that is creating an unnecessary mess. And here's what it looks like after I put silicone across the front and the rear of the intake. And this won't leak like this at all. Yeah, and with these aluminum intakes, I like to retorque it at least 3 times. I'll run it for like a half hour, then I'll do it again, and then I'll drive it for a while and then tighten it again, because the bolts always seem to come loose. Yeah, I just screwed new oil filter on. I'm priming it with oil. You've got to make sure each one of these rocker arms gets oil to it. Yeah, I just got those spark plug wire heat shields on it. And I've just about got everything back together now on the engine. So I think now I'm going to jack it up and pull the oil pan off and put that high volume oil pump in it before I finish putting the rest of the stuff back together. Yeah, I got the motor mounts apart and jacked up. With this cheap cherry picker, it won't go far enough forward. So the only thing I was able to grab onto is the water pump. Yeah, I'm glad the oil pan came out. Sometimes they won't come out this way on some cars. This, I just had to undo the idler arm for the steering, and then the center link dropped down and it came out of there. Yeah, this engine just has a 2-bolt main and a cast crank in it. I guess I better not hook nitrous up to it. I just about got it back together now. I also took some dents out of the oil pan and ground down a little bit where I welded some holes up in it last time, so it looks a lot better. Okay, I got it all back together. So what I'm going to do now is run it for about a half hour, keeping the RPM up so the cam gets a lot of oil to break it in, which it shouldn't have any problems anyways. With a new oil pump, it gets real good oil pressure. And after that, I'll change the oil because Molly plugs up the oil filter. Yeah, I just changed the oil on the Camaro and set the timing. Tomorrow I got to take it outside, wash it, and take it for a test drive. Yeah, I started on this about 10 o'clock this morning, and now it's 9 o'clock at night. Okay, I'm just going to take the car outside, wash it, and take it for a ride, and then it's finished. Yeah, I better go get gas. I'm down to about 1/8 of a tank. Yeah, this thing uses a lot of gas. It was just filled up and now it's down to 1/8 of a tank.
Man, it's warm.
Yeah, here he is to get his car.